In today's low profile, we cover Trace and the Kriken. The Kriken are a terrifying and ruthless race with an insectoid appearance. They are told to be one of the most feared and hated races in the galaxy. Their reputation precedes them, as the Kriken operate in a massive empire, set on war, conquest, and consumption. Not all that different from the Ing of Dark Aether. To inspire the people to expand the Kriken Empire, when a member of the species becomes of full age, they are exiled by their clans and sent to distant planets. They are then tasked to locate a suitable planet for their race to expand to, conquering and consuming. These members gain prestige within the Empire, and can be considered heroes. However, discovering new alien technology may also grant this status. This is their rite of passage. The anatomy of the Kriken is much like insects, with crimson-red exoskeletons, operating in hives while having weak limbs. To make up for this weakness, the Kriken have evolved the ability to blend into their surroundings by becoming transparent. The heads of the Kriken are separated from the main body and sport a single socket for sight. The Kriken have also created biotechnology, much like the Chozo and Galactic Federation, allowing for the ability to biomorph into a Triskelion. This form makes the Kriken turn into three-legged war machines. While significantly smaller than that of an ordinary Kriken, the Triskelion can be used to explore narrow passages and is overall more agile. While stationary in this mode, the natural transparency of the Kriken will activate. To attack, the warrior will perform a jump strike, inflicting massive damage with great velocity. This suggests that the Kriken as a race are a species that rely on stealth and ambush tactics to best their targets, given the camouflage and the main weapon of the Kriken being a long-range beam. The Kriken Empire is said to be just as large and major as either the Galactic Federation and the Space Pirates. It is also unknown what type of spacecraft the Kriken wield. Trace is a youth bounty hunter for the Kriken Empire. He is said to be cold and swift in his actions. His role within the Empire is to scout for planets for the Kriken to invade. As his rite of passage, Trace sees the so-called ultimate power as his chance to become a hero to his people. He hopes to use the ultimate power for the Kriken's conquests. This is the only thing that he has on his mind, to bring supremacy to the Krikens and to bring himself honor. Trace, in particular, seems very specialized for sniping. His built-in invisibility aids with this massively. His Imperialist also triggers the invisibility when in use. The Imperialist is exceptional at taking out enemies from long ranges, while instantly killing them if shot in the head. The beam itself is a red and thin laser that travels instantly. He is also able to use the weapons of the other hunters, but the Imperialist is his speciality. It's to the point that he can fire multiple beams in quick succession. This is seen in some of his encounters with Samus Aran. Their first meeting was in the middle of a skirmish between Trace and the Vozon Noxus, another bounty hunter. These two were the only hunters that Samus encountered fighting each other. During the fight for the ultimate power, Trace had tried to find the Octoliths to gain access to it. He encountered Samus many more times, and was unsuccessful in stealing anything from her. He may have also encountered the other hunters, but it is not known whether he did, with the exception of Noxus. Once Samus had collected all 8 Octoliths, Trace travelled to the Oubliette, racing against the other hunters to gain the ultimate power, only to find Goria. Goria sent out Trendles to Trace and the other hunters, draining their abilities. After Samus's battle with Goria, we see her and the 6 other hunters flee from the exploding Oubliette. This was the last time we saw Trace. He hasn't come up anywhere since Metroid Prime Hunters, so how could he be developed more? Well, given what we know about the Kriken, they are what the Vozon despise. The Vozon, the race that Noxus is a part of, are described as ruthless peacekeepers, the opposite of the Kriken. Given that Trace and Noxus fought each other at Arcterra, it would be safe to assume that Noxus wouldn't have liked Trace so much. So after Goria's defeat, Noxus could have returned to Vo, the homeworld of the Vozon, to report his findings and mention Trace. He would describe Trace, and his people would deem the Kriken as an enemy to peace, declaring war on them to stop their warmongering ways. Once this war is declared, Trace would be assigned as an assassin, taking out important Vozon targets from long range. Due to his experience with Trace, Noxus would be sent to intercept him wherever possible, and the two would conflict many times. During this war, the Kriken could attempt to expand and conquer more worlds to gain a stronger foothold and more resources. On one planet though, the Kriken would awaken a Chozo artifact that would call for Samus to defend it. She wouldn't entirely know what it is, but she knows that she has to be strong to defend it. This is where she would encounter Trace again. Trace would be seeking the artifact to complete his rite of passage, and he would feel immense hatred for Samus, as she prevented him from getting the ultimate power. It could also be here that Noxus is also present in some scenes. However, he would be much more tolerant of Samus this time around, as she denied the ultimate power from evil and is fighting to defend what belongs to the Chozo. He can even be an ally of Samus, working together to take out Trace and the local Kriken. Trace would ultimately fail in his mission as Samus becomes too powerful for him to handle. This is where we could learn what happens to those that fail the rite of passage too many times. Once Trace and the Kriken are defeated by Samus, they would return to their space and Trace would be sent on a suicidal mission. It would be to either kill a leader of the Vozon or to fight Samus to the death. If he didn't go on the mission, he would be humiliated even more, publicly shamed, and made an example of what not to be. He would choose to fight Samus. In his eyes, it would be a far more honourable death than to kill someone who could just be replaced. And Samus by this point had definitely proven herself to be the strongest warrior in the galaxy. Trace would expose himself, the Vozon would take notice, but none of their warriors would be capable of killing Trace. Noxus would propose they hire Samus to deal with him. Given his allegiance with her, the Vozon accept and hire Samus for the mission. Samus would be sent to Trace's location, where he would be waiting. They would meet and there would be a stare down before their battle ensued. Trace, at this point, had nothing left to live for. He had been shamed too many times, and this battle would be the only way to restore some honor. He would fight valiantly, and would feel a lot of emotions, which the Kriken wouldn't be encouraged to do other than to feel hate. His fighting skills would deteriorate over time as Samus would move too fast for him to catch up, while she dealt more damage to him. Eventually, Samus would best him. He had put up a good fight, but she was too much. Samus would then be given her payment and be on her way. The Vozon would give the Kriken back Trace's body in exchange for peace of some kind. As much as the Kriken would like to continue, they would start to fear Samus. She is now an asset to the Vozon. It would be guaranteed that she'd be called to help them. The Kriken would want to conquer, but they also want to survive, and so they accept Trace's body in exchange for peace with the Vozon. Trace would be held in a burial chamber for fallen warriors on the homeworld of the Kriken. While he wouldn't be revered as something amazing, he would have the dignity of having fought the only thing that the Kriken fear. So that was the lore of Trace and the Kriken, and what I think would be pretty good development for them. I'm not too sure if these events would spark a game, but a comic or something would definitely work. In fact, short comics for all the hunters would be very interesting really. They would show their lives and would tackle different themes. For example, as shown here, a comic about Trace would be about proving itself and what it can mean to fail. Spire's comic could talk about loneliness given that he's the last of his species, while the comic about Noxus could talk about the history of the Vozon and understanding the past. What did you think about this video? Did you like the ideas that I presented here? And would you like to see comics about the hunters? Let me know in the comments. So there's a bit of an elephant in the room. I haven't uploaded in a while, and I'm sorry about that. I don't really have an excuse, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna get back on top of everything. This is the last time I take an unplanned break. And no, this isn't the Halo and Metroid video. It's gonna be the next one. I won't work on anything else until that's out. I'm sorry that it's taking so long, Gene. I'd like to give a big thank you and a massive apology to my patrons. Metroid X Productions, Gene Santana, Randy Rhodes. I'm sorry I haven't put out content in a month. It won't happen again. I'm sorry to end it on a bit of a negative note, but that's all I've got. And I'm gonna get to work on Gene's video as soon as this is all finished. The script is all done, I just need to actually make it now. And with that, I am that Metroid guy, and I will see you in the next mission. Bye bye.